there may be some of you out there who may be thinking about what you want to do with your life. You're looking at the people who you perceive as being successful out there, and you're wondering, like, how can I get there? What are the steps needed to get to that position? You may be saying, I'm doing it already. You may be thinking that the world is against you. But there are critical steps that each and every one of those successful people that you've seen have taken to get to where they are today. Today, we are talking to a friend of mine, someone that I wanted to really introduce you to. This individual is James English. Like I mentioned before, a friend, a mentor, someone that I hold trusted, and he's the VP of operations of a publicly traded healthcare company. And we're just going to jump right into it, James.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, we're here, and I'm glad that you're here today. Listen, let's go back to when you were a kid.
All right.
I know you don't want to start that far back, but I remember hearing from your mother that you used to do some pretty interesting things as a kid. You used to read some interesting articles as a kid. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so, knowledge, general knowledge, all-purpose knowledge has always been an interest of mine. Not necessarily to make me smarter than other people, but to help me better understand the world I live in. That has always been what I believe is a foundational element to our ability to manage and navigate the world, navigate the environments we live in, is learning the subtleties of what makes them successful, things that other people may either take for granted as facts or frankly completely ignore. That has always been where I found my solitude. As an introvert, somebody that, relished being alone, relished being, I was a contemplator, for researching and finding those areas of opportunity and new information was always appealing to me. So that manifested itself in my early days in weird ways. I had the entire cabinet of Bill Clinton memorized. I could give you the bios of every person at the time. Why? I have no idea. But when I walked into a conversation that was far beyond my years to comprehend, I had enough stored up that I could start to figure out and ascertain, hey, what is this about? And enter and inject additional insights into, again, conversation to the point where people would say, what are you doing? Like, what you said made perfect sense, but who are you? And so, yes, the reading, history, just learning about the environment I lived in was always a centerpiece of what I felt would help me be a better navigator of my life throughout the rest of my years, and it's proven to be true. I still like to read. I still like to absorb as much information as I possibly can, random or not. I find myself literally getting thirsty at times for inspiration, and that has been conditioned in me from those formative years where knowledge fueled my energy. My ability to feel prepared has driven me to continue to be thirsty for more and more and more along those lines.
Feel prepared. Feel prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you, because you covered a lot there, like when did you notice that this is who you were and you settled into that?
Ooh, man, good question. It was a quirk for a long time, to be honest with you, because, at those ages, having those type of interests can be quite damaging to your social existence.
Right.
And so much of our formative years are spent developing our social kind of construct and who we are, that investing time and energy in those type of things make you stand out. So it took me longer to realize that it was a differentiator for me. And that likely didn't happen until I'd say 5 or 6 years into my professional career.
Wow.
Where I realized that what made me different, after you get over the fear and anxiety of going into corporate America, as a black man, I didn't go to the best schools. I went to good schools and I got a great education, but I had some making up to do from the perspective of many. So there was a bit of a nervousness that really held me up the first few years of my career. And so it wasn't until probably 5 years in where I got my first promotion and started to see, wait a minute, I can compare well to other people. I can compete at the same levels as others, that I started to say, okay, the information and knowledge foundations that I gave myself, that I allowed myself to foster, has leapfrogged me past many, many, many other people, because I maintain an ability to learn. Learning is not learning isn't something that marginalizes me. There are people I've come across in my career and life that believe that once you get beyond a certain point, there's no more learning to do. It's all about pushing out information instead of bringing in information. Yeah. I've rejected that notion, and it's because there's no way I can be the smartest person in the room. My goal is to be the leader of the smart people in the room, and in order to do that, you have to be willing to learn and listen. And you could flip those: listen and learn. So that has always been part of, frankly, how I've kept my ego in check, how I continue to ensure I surround myself with different perspectives. And that materializes itself in a number of ways. But I do believe building those kinds of teams, after building myself that way, has led me to be down the path that I am today.
So a couple things there. One was I'm fascinated in the fact that it took you 5 years of, is it fair to say, patience?
Yeah.
5 years of patience.
And mistakes.
Okay.
Yeah.
To get to that point. And then the second thing is leader of the smartest people in the room. All right. Before we even get to that. So a lot of people nowadays, they get their first started, right out of college. And within 2 years, they're ready to move. They're ready to go. I'm not getting the pay that I expected. I'm not feeling, valued. I'm ready to go. What was it that made you stay patient during those 5 years that you could share with someone who is ready to go, right now?
So failure. Let me go a little deeper there. Failure by my own standards. I had the same aspirations of going quick, right? I felt as though if I could get out of the base level where everybody was competing, and I could get above that, it would help me justify who I was. But I wasn't equipped at that time with the right tools to take advantage of the opportunities that I could get. So I failed a lot. I went through periods of, frankly, depression, both personally and professionally.
This is within the first 5 years we're
Absolutely.
talking? Wow.
And all of that was showing me that my life was not about what I did. It was bigger than that. And so what I had to do was continue to work and focus on building the right attributes, the right skill sets, the right focuses, to make sure that when opportunities came, I had the right perspective. And that subtle difference made a world, it helped really push and accelerate me through a lot of the challenges. Because at the end of the day, the difference between somebody on the front lines of a company and the CEO is the amount of crap they deal with on a daily basis. The amount of issues and problems and just, frankly, BS that is a significant part of their day-to-day balance. And if I acted then, or if I dealt with the issues back then that I have today the way I did then, I'd be dead. Because the amount of energy that you have to put into solving problems and helping fix issues has to be managed and measured in a way that's a marathon, not a sprint. And I mean, that's just one element, Gerren, but there's so much to the purposeful preparation steps you have to take in order to ensure you're ready for whatever is coming next. And I find that most people fall short because they shortchange that segment of their career and life. They want to get ahead because they think getting ahead allows the trappings that come along with that: title, money, perception of success. But the perception is the key. I didn't want to be perceived as successful. I want to be successful, even if people don't think I am.
Okay.
So it wasn't the perception I was after. It was actual success through my definition.
How do people derive at their definition? Because I look at being in a space and seeing people have these conversations, kind of like back in the day where I would ask you, hey, can I sit in on a meeting that you're having? I just wanted to sit in there and look at you guys go to work. For me, that brought much joy to my life. It brought much fulfillment to my day. That was success for me. I would go home and tell my wife, yo, you should have seen what I saw today. And she's like, but did you pick up a new client? Well, like, no, but you should have seen this. I'm excited. So how help people create a definition of success? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I'll try to simplify it as much as I can, but it truly is a personal formula that everybody has to draw out for themselves. It starts with a good understanding of what you're good at. Who am I as a person? What are my personality strengths and weaknesses? What gives me energy? What drains my energy? That right there should tell you, am I in the right field or not? Is this, I want to be a professional basketball player, but I'm 5'5", it's not going to happen, right? So there's some practical realities that we have to deal with before we continue down the pathway of growth and development. So the second thing is once I understand who I am and I understand how I get energy, now it's matching that up with some passion. Am I doing something, or do I have elements in my life, and this is important, that give me the passion I need to persevere and be resilient? And there are things that it doesn't necessarily have to be tagged to my job. And this is one of the other mistakes I see very common, is people say, well, my job doesn't energize me. My job doesn't give me passion, and therefore I don't give my job my best. Well, they don't say that last piece, but that's a result of everything else they just said.
Right.
What they're actually saying is, I don't have joy in my life. I don't have passion in my life. Not everybody's called to be a CEO, but everybody is called to have passion. Everybody is called to be committed to something. And so it's about finding that thing in your life, adding it to what you are and who you are as a person, that then will drive a completely different perspective and energy out of the other end. So it's that formula that I believe will help people differentiate themselves as they think about, how do I transform where I am today to where I want to be? Because again, we put so much on our employer, so much on the perception of success, but that's not by your own definition. Your definition needs to be who I am and what I'm good at, mixed in with the passions and things I enjoy, sprinkled in with some responsibility, because none of us can avoid that. And then the last component is living out those first two in a way that differentiates me from everybody else, because those first two elements, there's no one else on earth that has those same two. So you've already created a fingerprint that makes you different. So stop trying to be the same. Stop trying to follow other people's definition and create your own. By doing that, everything else you do will look different. And that's how you go from perception of success to actual success, because no one can look at you anymore and say, well, you're not successful. Says who? I feel great when I wake up in the morning. I've got a purpose. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. As an employer of thousands, I've been blessed enough to have thousands of people internationally under my leadership. And one of the things that's extremely noticeable is when somebody is walking with purpose. And they're doing the same job as the person next to them. Yeah. But there's something in their life. There's something about the formula that they figured out that other people haven't. And by doing that, it puts them on a trajectory to be noticed. And then be promoted.
As you were saying that, I'm thinking, I'm going back to your first 5 years.
Yeah.
Would you say that during those first 5 years, that's when that clicked for you? Like that happened?
It's when I realized that I am who I am. And so for me, spending time, again, going into myself and figuring out, going into the corners of my personality, the corners of my strengths and weaknesses, and learning the science of what makes me me, and understanding the power that gives me, and gives me to dictate and determine how I view the world and how I act, and it was very powerful for me. I wasn't on a ride that someone else was driving. I was in control. And so understanding that then caused me to look back and say, those 5 years were terrible. I wish them on no one. How do I help for the rest of my life and career? How do I help people who encounter me to make those 5 years that they will invest the best 5 years of their career and most informative instead of painful? Because I don't believe that pain has to be the way to get there. I believe it's an investment. But there are a lot of people that will start that process of those 5 years and not finish. It's too hard. And so for them, they're not living out their best existence because the fear of the process has caused them to detour.
Yeah.
Or pull off the road early.
Yeah.
So, but if I can help through whatever little influences I may have, help people understand, hey, spend some time learning about yourself. Hey, spend some time. One of the biggest, you mentioned, so one of the biggest things I enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to get back into it at some point, was the work I did at Oakwood, helping those students, Oakwood University, Huntsville, Alabama, my alma mater, helping those students get better prepared for the professional world than I ever had.
Yeah.
And the way we did it, the way we approached it, was number one, something that they could digest. It was chock full of content and information they'll use for 10 years post that. But it's really looking years later at the impact we've made. Do you realize if you start counting the number of lives impacted, it's in the dozens.
Yeah. Yeah.
The dozens. And
that's just the first layer.
Correct. And these folk are just getting started.
Yes, sir.
And I'm watching them progress in life and career and happiness, and it's phenomenal. So it's a case study.
Yeah.
In what the right information at the right times can do. And I didn't have it.
I'm with you. Like, I'm getting chills thinking about it because, yes, I'm seeing them on LinkedIn. I'm seeing them in their careers, and I'm like, that.
They're moving.
Yeah.
They're moving. Absolutely.
Quick.
And it's not. So keep in mind, these are mostly minority students who are working in organizations predominantly that don't reflect who they are. So their moves are legit moves.
Yeah.
Like, these are not people that are being given things.
Right.
These are people that are earning things, and they're earning at a rate that is impressive. So as you project that forward on what they could be 10, 15, 20 years from now, dude, they're going to blow by me, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Blow by me. Go set the new bar, because what I try to do was give back on what I learned during that period, because I learned the power of it. But I still use those years. I still reflect on that time a lot, and it still helps guide me even in the places I am today, because the headwinds, the biases, all the isms that exist in society exist even more in a concentrated manner at the levels of the organizations that I'm fortunate and blessed enough to be a part of today.
Yeah. I am like, I'm blown away with everything you just mentioned, because I'm reflecting back on those times and what we were able to accomplish in a short period of time.
Yeah.
We're talking about one time per year.
Yeah.
We're spending only not even two full days.
No. It was a one-day event for the most part, yeah.
Springboarding these individuals out there, man. I love
Absolutely.
it. I love it. So, all right. So you talked a lot about preparation. You talked a lot about patience and the time that people take and should take in this beginning. I don't want to lose sight of this important fact. You mentioned people should spend some time learning themselves. I'm going through a process right now where I'm learning myself at a very emotional level. And this is it's like my spiritual work. I know how difficult it is for me at my age, at my stage of my career. For someone who's getting started, how do they go about learning themselves? And I don't want to just throw it out there, you got to learn yourself. I'm talking about, where am I supposed to go? Where am I supposed to look? What does it look like, that process?
This day and age, stuff is everywhere.
Yep.
So take a test, find a career counselor, go see your HR department. I mean, there's resources all over the place. But here's the big thing. Take it serious. Many folks struggle with the reflection in the mirror. And I've come across people who have had access to great resources. They've done some of the steps, but when they see the reflection on paper,
it doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good. And so, but every one of those, I'll call them deficiencies, defects, the other side of the coin, if you will, says something about us we need to know and understand. Because we live in a world that will celebrate us for our accomplishments, but they will absolutely torpedo us for our weaknesses and failures. And so, but in order for us to have a better command and a better understanding of what failure or how we fall into pits or times of failure, we got to understand our deficiencies. The study of my personality wasn't on what I did well. The study of my personality was on what I did terribly badly. And because it said a couple things to me, James. All right, look, dude, if you are allowed to be successful, this is how you'd fall off. Mm. If I gave you everything you think you wanted, your weaknesses is how you squander it. Mm. So what are you doing to build a support system of people, process, information around your weaknesses so that when you become successful, you can call it out before it even happens to make sure your rise doesn't end in a fall? That is the under-discussed part of the process. Your defects are just and no, every defect is attached to a strength. They are attached to each other. And so you've got to spend the time making sure your future success is not offset by your under preparation and under awareness of your weakness.
I hate you. Like I hate you. Like, you're making me uncomfortable. Because I love the way that you phrase that, because it now lets me look at those results. Whereas I would have thought of it like, I hate to see that. It's like, it's a gift. Mm. It's not a gift. It's a gift. I may not like it today, but if I look at it through those lenses, that when success is granted to me, these deficiencies might be what makes me fall off. Like, now I'm like, I got a head start with that information. That's freaking, like, I hate you, man.
Yeah, it's like building your dream house. And then as you were building it, your builder said, look, the way we're doing this, there's already termites in the building.
Yeah.
And it's your dream house. But at some point in the future, these termites are going to cause structural damage. What are we going to do about it? Are we going to treat it now? Or are you going to try to treat it when the damage is already done? It's far more expensive to treat it later than treat it now. So do your due diligence, do your planning, put in place your countermeasures, and go for it. I used to tell one of the students I mentored, I need you to know yourself well enough that when you go on stage to give a public speech, you're preparing for that. You know that you sweat more under your left arm than your right arm, and you double up your deodorant on your left side because you know you don't want that to be a point of self-consciousness and or weakness. Yeah. So how well having command of who you are on all sides, strengths and weaknesses, allow you to deploy the countermeasures necessary. Yeah. For some, that means staying out of a bar. For others, that means, making sure you're committed to something spiritually. For others, it means, managing your finances and doing things differently. So we all have things that we have to pay a little additional attention to, and that's okay. That's okay. It keeps us on our toes. It keeps us in a constant stream of connection between all phases of who we are, body, mind, and spirit. Because it's when we get out of whack that we lose our ability to determine those things. And dude, we've made mistakes. I've made terrible mistakes in my life. And every time I've looked back on them and I reflect on it, it's like, this was the point. This was the moment. This was the decision. And it then led me down a path where I had not yet paid enough attention, or I had brushed it under the rug, because that's not that big of a deal. That's okay. I'm okay with that. And ultimately,
I struggle in this place, not in this place, but in this space. I'm hearing you, and I hope that our listeners are hearing you too, man, because this is critical. I go back to, and you laugh at this, I go back to when you introduced me to golf. And I would go to Marshall's to buy my my cotton shirts, and I would play in Skechers with the little knobby soles. And I would come out there, you'd laugh at me with my cargo pants, and you're like, Gerren, you need to invest into some dry fit. Like, I don't want to spend that money. Crazy to death, man. I'm not spending that money on that dry fit stuff, man. No. But I'll be the one out there sweating my tail off by hole 3,
Absolutely.
in this Florida weather. Until I invested. And up front, I thought the cost was too much. But then I trusted enough to just invest. And I bought one pair of shorts, one shirt. And I saw what the experience was like at the end of the round.
Yep.
I was like, I want that again. So it moved from being a cost to an investment. And what I'm hearing you say is we may think that the cost is too much in paying attention to our deficiencies at an early stage. But the investment, when we get to that, our level of success, we're better. I love the fact that you talked about countermeasures. So now that I know what it is, you're saying countermeasures, put them in place to help you from now, so that when that time comes, because sometimes it sneaks up on us.
Absolutely.
And when we talk about fast track, since I'm saying sneaking up on us, you've experienced a measure of success most recently that was pretty fast.
Yeah.
That's pretty fast. And
yeah.
Go, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, pretty fast by the world's definition. Titles have never meant much to me, and they they're abstract. They don't really speak to what I do. They don't speak to the complexity, but they are a signal to the world what they should think about me. Again, perceived success. My recent opportunities, having come at a time when I wasn't expecting it, shook me at my core, because again, the natural kind of kid in me, or the natural doubter of myself, says, James, are you ready? Like, so this happened, and your mentor left, and you left a company you were with for a long time. You followed a professional mentor of yours to a new opportunity that was great. Literally 8 months in, he's gone, and then you're asked to step up and take on more responsibility, and then the person who asked you to do that then leaves, and then now next thing you know, you're flying on private jets with the CEOs of companies, and being asked to come and be the credible source for the area that I work in to large hospital systems across the country. Literally getting off one jet and getting on another jet in the same day, flying coast to coast. I mean, stuff that it's rap video stuff.
Yeah, right.
And you find yourself thinking, what? How did I end up here? And am I ready?
Right. So
for the person who's still focused on the trappings, they're looking at this, they're selfieing, they're Instagramming, look at me, the whole jet stairs picture. And man, I did a little bit of that. I'm not gonna lie. I took a couple of pictures. I'm sure you got one or two.
Yeah.
But that was those pictures were taken with the mindset of, can you believe, as opposed to, I finally made it. There's a very different mindset. And so all of those experiences led me to an understanding that the key is all in preparation, because you never know when your opportunity may come.
Yep.
And not every opportunity is the right opportunity. Not every promotion is the right promotion. Going back to the formula, if it's something that doesn't match up with your personality and you don't have a passion for, even though it may pay you more money, it's not going to be lasting, because there's somebody who's going to have a formula that matches better that's going to stick out.
Yeah.
And they're going to bypass you. And you're going to feel as though you've been marginalized again, and your work is going to suffer, your energy is going to suffer, and then you'll be right back where you started.
Yeah.
So the journey for me the last 2-3 years has truly been about finishing my preparation. I got some really good coaching a number of years back when I was going through some real tough times, and that coaching really taught me a couple of things about myself that I was not aware of, even in the early stage knowing myself.
Yeah.
One of them that really has stuck with me is my resilience. My coach told me, I forgot the name of the test I took specifically, but I had the highest resilience score he'd ever seen in his 30 years of coaching.
Wow.
He's like, James, you wake up tomorrow like yesterday never happened. Like the way you bounce back, the way you recover is off the charts. So the key for you is to give yourself the time to recover, meaning don't allow the moment to overtake what will be a strength 2 days from now. Mm-hmm. Because when others are wondering, how in the world is he doing this? You know it's because of your ability to bounce back, and bounce back in a way that then will lean on all the preparation and all the experience and all the work you've done for years to be prepared. So just make sure you give yourself a time. And that means don't make rash decisions. That means don't jump off ledges. Give yourself time. And I literally have to remind myself in points of significant stress, on days where everything is going wrong, or feels like it's going wrong, to say there's going to be a tomorrow. And that differentiator there for me, again, going back to these experiences, has caused me to never doubt what I can do. I just have to adjust my preparation and support so that I can meet the task. But there's no doubt that because of my understanding of my DNA in a way, I know what I can and what I can't do with clarity. And I stick to the script.
I'm pausing because you suck the air out of the room. That is it's crazy. Despite, like, I'm doing this for everyone out there, and I'm doing it for myself. The audience, you are having a fly on the wall experience, listening to the types of conversation, the types of dialogue that I have with this guy whenever I can. Now that you've moved out of town, it's not as frequent. So I'm always ready to press record and listen. This is solid information, like solid information. And that's another thing that I liked about you, man, your ability to articulate so clearly what's needed. And that may go back to those young years, you know?
That's a whole formula on its own.
Yeah.
I've recently read a book that has gotten me on this whole idea of verbal confidence and what it really means. The ability to articulate, the ability to conceptualize complex things and be able to make them plain. And again, it's more about how I deal with what's inside of me than anything else. When I can explain and express how I'm feeling in words that match the level of intensity of those emotions, I feel it's a therapeutic experience.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people struggle for words. They struggle for confidence with words. And it's not that my vocabulary is huge, because I don't believe you need a massive vocabulary to do it, but you need confidence in what you're saying, and the power and passion behind it makes a difference. And so I recognize in this book I'm reading that it starts at a young age. In this particular group of people, have it as part of their DNA. And as I look at myself, I grew up around a table in debates and arguments
all
and
the time
about as I think back now about it, very complicated things.
Yeah.
This is not like football teams or football team makeups and scores, and it's doctrinal, like heavy things that in order to sit and speak with credibility, you had to do some work.
Some research, yep.
And the work I'm talking about is work of understanding what that information meant to you, formulating an opinion, which many people can, but then taking the last step of breaking into a discussion of experts and adding value.
Yeah.
That's where people tend to fall off. So again, it goes back to the formative years. It goes back to environment, but it also goes to a recognition of need, meaning I need to be able to have some advanced skill of communicating who I am to the world. It doesn't get it. If not, the world will tell me who I am. And that's how you get perceived success. You're back to other people's definitions of what I should be instead of my definition of what I will be. And they're very different things, but very easy to fall into the trap.
James, I appreciate the measure of wisdom that you have shared with us today. And again, for anyone who's listening, I mean, we're doing this here for you, for the individuals. You might be at your desk right now listening to this interview, this session, this fly on the wall moment, and I hope this helps you to take your next step. I'm big on that. I'm big on people sharing their next step, taking the next step. I know I've taken some notes, things that I can use even today. Sometimes I wish that I was in the corporate world just to practice some of this stuff, but then I'm happy that I'm not, type of deal. You know, this is cool. But yeah, no, this has been great. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it. This is what the Clean Slate Experience is about. Being able to share with people, you know, how they can fill in the gaps between their daily routines and be able to get to where they want to be. Just real quick.
Yeah.
30 seconds. Just surmise this again. What are the points people should walk away with?
Yeah. So the points to walk away with from this today is learn your formula. Yeah. Who I am, what I'm passionate about, and then go live that. And match everything up. Reconcile everything in your life back to that once you get the core definition. Where I would also go with that is something I used to tell, again, the students that we mentor was write your definition. Write down your personal mission statement, who I am, what I want to be, and base it on that formula. Yeah. If you do that, it becomes your true north, and I believe that will help you in all of your key decision making, all of your challenges that you go through day by day. It will remind you of your purpose, and I think that is invaluable. Can't live without it.
That's it. I'm good. Vic, you good? We're good.
All right.
Man. Thank you.